June 11, 1997, Game 5, Utah Jazz versus the Chicago Bulls. Michael Jordan that day is like, he had flu-like symptoms. And he looked weak even as he came out. He looked weak, like he was not about to do what he did on that day in that game against the Utah Jazz. Oh man. And he looked weak every second of the game. You know, he said Phil Jackson should play him in spurts, you know. And this was a game they needed to win to regain control before going home. And what did Michael Jordan do despite having the flu? 38 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, and 1 block. Michael Jordan's always looking for motivation. Anything that will motivate him to be the best that he could be. He will use it. This guy's crazy. He will use such things as having a flu as motivation, you know, to push himself. He said his favorite player to play against was himself. He had to battle himself, to keep challenging himself. That's what he loves. He lives for the challenge. And so when he had the flu and he's sitting on the bench, he says, he probably said to himself, is this flu gonna stop me from getting 38 points? 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, and 1 block. This guy's flu game was extraordinary. Not just his flu game, but his mental game. How he challenges himself to find a way to keep himself going throughout 82 games in a season. And what did Michael Jordan say at the end of this historic performance? What did he say? It's all about desire. He done been told us that what consumed him was being the best basketball player he could be. So anything that feels like it's motivation to him, when you try to get a player to stop him, he's gonna use this as motivation. He's challenging himself. He's battling in his mind. His biggest opponent is himself. He's mastered the game of basketball physically. And now the realm that he's playing at is in his mind. That's where he has 6 championships in 8 years. It's the mindset Jordan. The consuming desire, the burning fire that consumes him. And how he uses every single situation around him to challenge himself, to prove to himself that he can be the best, that he can perform despite of all the challenges, despite of all the obstacles, despite of the worst flu that you can think of. No player has ever done this. Please, 38 points. No player has ever done this. He himself did it in game 2 of that series in 1997. He scored 38 points in game 2. And for him to push himself, to get himself to the level, you can imagine the self-belief in this guy that I can score 38 points despite of this flu, despite of how I feel, despite of my circumstance, despite of how weak I feel, I can still do it. He challenges himself to be the best that he could be, not the best that anyone else has been, not the best that any other player in the NBA has been, or not the achievements of any other NBA player, but it's about himself. It's about him battling himself. That's why he says, I am my favorite player to play against. It's a mental battle that I'm having with myself to keep challenging myself. Where does this spring from? After the game, he was asked what motivated him. It's all about desire, he says. It's all about desire. What do you want? And what consumed him was being the best basketball player that he could be. Mindset Jordan. Flu game. Master. The flu game. I'm trying to think of what can I say about mastering the flu game or whatever, man. That's Jordan. Archiving wisdom here. Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. Let's read what it says about someone who wants something, who desires something so bad. What do? They become so determined to have it that you convince yourself that you will have it. His will to win was what manifested itself into the beast that we saw on the court. It's the will to win that gave him the killer instinct. He said, if you don't give me the jump shot, I'm gonna go into the lane. I love Michael Jordan, man. I love Michael Jordan. Mindset Jordan. The will to win, the desire, constantly looking for motivation, constantly battling within his mind. I can push myself even further. I can go even further. That's the kind of mindset that separates the great from the ordinary. Mindset Jordan. Peace.